Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another SciCraft episode. So today we check out the Quarry progress, which has been quite amazing so far. We launched the Quarry a few days ago. At the moment it stopped, but it's just so insanely fast. The Quarry can cover a distance of 90, up to 90, most it's 80 blocks per day. So it is insanely fast. Unfortunately ran into some issues, but they will all be solvable, so don't worry about it. Also, here you can see the remains of the scaffolding leaves we placed. A lot of those got destroyed, but also some got left behind. And now just look at this, which was done in 3 days. This is amazing. So many blocks got removed. Yeah, it's awesome. Actually, we did a change between launching the Quarry and the last episode. We added those slabs here in the front as well. Turned out that's another oversight. We found it out on stream. If there would be a gravel block here at the second position, it could actually land at the bottom, which was an issue since we could get 2 gravel blocks on top of each other, which would break the Quarry. So what would basically happen is we would, if you have a gravel block here, and then if it's possible to push the blocks below, gravel would fall down. And then yeah, keeps piling up at the bottom, breaking the Quarry. But just added those slabs here, which are seems like they aren't pushed by anything, but in fact the gravel has pushed them forwards. So they actually stop at this height and push those slabs forwards for the next slice. Alright, there's something else we could check before I talk about the slight issues we have. It's the storage. And check on the progress of the items we got so far. So the shulker box filling system works fine. It's good news. On average, we probably have about 11 to 1200 items per chest. Of course, all kinds of mixed stuff. Here's, for example, an oak plank in there from a mine shaft. Always some clay balls. This is nice. So it went really good so far. And in the back we filled up, we blocked the hoppers, redstone blocks. Not entirely necessary. There was some worries that trying to put shulker boxes with a mixed content into a double chest, which is already filled, would create a lot of lag, but I tested it. Definitely don't have a killer hopper situation here. So I think we have about 4 rows and some change already filled up. So it's hard to estimate if this would be filled shulker boxes. It would be about 2 million items, probably slightly less, so maybe 1.5 million. Alright, yeah, cobble gets sorted out. And now let's talk about the issues. I actually found 3 issues that could break the Quarry, but are very unlikely. Alright, let's go through it. It's probably best if you go into spectator mode, just to show what would be the problem. So the first issue is obsidian that would be created afterwards, but this is probably very unlikely. What would need to happen is that we somehow, by pushing blocks, redirect a water stream in order to create obsidian somehow. But this would also involve some lava sources, and we got 2 types of lava left. Basically the single lava sources, like the single water sources in cave walls or ravine walls. But I have a hard time imagining how this would happen, since there's always stone above the sewers protecting it. And it's also very likely that the lava source would be removed before the water could be redirected. So I don't think that's gonna happen. It shouldn't be a problem. What looks a bit worse, or where I could imagine that it might happen, is with those little lava caves, lava pools underwater. But they usually are not open, so they're completely surrounded by stone, and usually there is no water in there. And in case there is some water in the wall, then obsidian has already been created. We've been there and removed the water source. So as you can see, there are a few of those lava pools or lava lakes underwater, but usually they're completely encased with stone. So I also don't think it's gonna happen here. Alright, so let's look for a mine shaft, because it's actually also a weak point of the quarry. Okay, here we got one. This is something we didn't consider before, but might become an issue. Also, it's also very unlikely. Alright, so what the quarry does is we try to push. There's a good look here. We try to push 12 blocks in front of the quarry in order to remove water. So we always have basically a wall of blocks in front to protect sources from destroying the fragile slimestone in the back. Now this 12-stick wall could be weakened by mine shafts if we have a situation like this one here. Alright, so a lot of rails in a row. So you can push rails on blocks and basically can push them forwards. And this happens actually quite often, that we have 12 rails in a row, and then the complete wall would be, rails and not a full block anymore. So I'm not sure if we have this situation actually with the quarry here somewhere. We had it before. Oh yeah, here's a situation. Alright. So I just got completely a line of rails. Now imagine there's a source of water somewhere and would flush the rails away. This could then also break the quarry. But the only situation where this would could happen is if the water source is directly in front of the rails. So basically it would need to be here at this point behind the fence. Then we would have an issue. Otherwise, I don't think we have a problem with this rail situation. Most cases, if the water source is either on the left or the right, will be removed before it becomes a problem. Also, water can only flow 8 blocks. So it's only this situation where we got a water source directly at the end, at the height of the rails. So I don't think that's gonna happen often. I actually also flew through all the caves in spectator mode and checked if we have such a situation, and it's definitely not the case. Alright, so this could also break the quarry, but it's very unlikely and it won't happen with this quarry. Then the next situation is actually a bit more worrying, and yeah, here you can see what's the issue. Sand or gravity blocks can completely erode the 12-stick wall. This is a big issue, and we didn't consider it to this extent yet. Kind of knew about this, but I always thought, 12-stick wall should be enough, so there shouldn't be any issues. With the Nether Quarry, obviously we didn't have those issues yet, which used the same system, but yeah, in a 1K by 1K space, there's usually only about 2,000 gravel blocks. So we didn't have this problem in the Nether. So making a quarry in Over is actually something new for us, and we've never done such a large-scale test. You can't really test a quarry in this size in creative mode, because it would just take multiple days, and then you might as well just run it in survival and actually get something out of it. So it could happen that we completely erode the wall, and then water sources would also leak into the quarry area, breaking it. It's a big problem. And I'm not sure how severe the issue might become or get. Probably isn't an issue if you just have some rivers in between, which is mostly the case, so this shouldn't be a problem. Could imagine if you run into an ocean after a desert biome, then it might become an issue again, but yeah, it probably won't happen that often. Nevertheless, we definitely should add some kind of a safety system with the quarry, because it happened already twice that the quarry broke. First time we had issues here with water leaking in, and we loaded a backup, and the second time the quarry broke, and we don't know yet why. Maybe it was another water issue, we just don't know why. So that's why I want to add a fail safety system. In case something wrong, the quarry should auto shut off. Alright, now how do we add a failsafe, or how do we detect that something goes wrong? The first thing that would get broken if something goes wrong with the quarry would be the grabbers. So in case we have a non-movable block for some reason, or we have water leaking inside of the quarry area, updating observers at the wrong moment. So the grabber is this system here. It goes up and down, pulls blocks out of the wall, and also pushes them upwards up to 11 blocks. So if those would get stuck, we could detect it by adding an AND gate system. So only if all the grabbers would be intact, then the quarry continues working. So the idea is we use the bottom pistons here to push something forward. And it's probably a good idea. We go now to Creative World and I show you the AND gate system. We came up with two possible solutions. This one was suggested by Aztect. So this here just stands for the grabbers, and this would be the actual contraption we would add. So we can push this forwards, which wouldn't trigger the pistons. And then afterwards we could send a signal through the whole thing just by activating this observer, for example. And then only if we get a signal on the other side, we would not stop the quarry, for example. So I can also show what happens if one of the grabbers gets stuck somewhere. So if we would try it the next time, then obviously we don't get a signal and the quarry would automatically shut off. Then we just need to fix the grabber and also repair this one here, but this is just a matter of maybe 20 minutes compared to taking a backup and losing hours if you would let the quarry crash completely. And this here is 2 nodes of names design. Can show it. So as you can see, all of those pistons got triggered, which the observer then detected. But this only worked because every link in the chain got pushed forward. So it works like this. Here we power a piston directly, and all of the other pistons are powered indirectly. So we basically get an update chain. So this piston here that would extend triggers this piston, the extending piston triggers the next one, and so on. Alright, now let's see what would happen if we don't push one of those forward. Well, obviously, if we don't get a signal on this side. Okay, basically got stuck here, the signal, since this piston didn't fire. Alright, so we're gonna go for this solution because it has the big advantage that it's instant. If you would use the other one, then we would need to make sure that the timings are correct. So it would have worked like this. We push everything forward, then we send a signal. It takes quite a while until it arrives on the other side, and then we would need to do something with the signal, but it's a bit slow. Also, in case we build a quarry of a different size, then we would need to adjust this system here manually for the corresponding size. While the other systems in this instant would work the same for every quarry size. And we can use this advantage in order to design a system on a smaller size quarry. I'm in a creative world now. This is the 72 byte version from the showcase video. That is a tenth of the size of the survival quarry. But this has the advantage we can easily tick warp it, we can run the game 10 times faster than usual, and we can get to the point where we would push the quarry forwards within 2 or 3 minutes. Alright, next decision we need to make is where to place the system. We have 2 options, either at the top or at the bottom. So if you would do it at the bottom, we could place it behind the slab system, which is non-existent in this world, since we run into those issues later. But if you remember, we had some slabs here, and we can easily use those slabs in order to also push the AND gate system forward. The biggest challenge if you would build the system at the bottom would be to transfer the signal back up in order to stop the quarry. So as you can see, it would be really hard to do that. So we have basically 1 block of space on the side. In between, we need the space for the grabbers, so we can't send the signal up there, and it also looks the same on the other side. One working solution would be, but this has some issues, would be to push some blocks here in front of this stuff here. This is not actual part of the world right now, but this is basically the gravel system in front of the 12 block wall. So if you would push a block here, then this can't be pushed forward anymore. but then it takes 2 iterations until we get an output on the other side. So if you imagine the first time we could still push this one forward, and the next time we could still push this piston forward, and only the third time we could maybe detect if this can't be pushed forward anymore. So this would be a working solution, but it has those disadvantages and kind of doesn't make it that interesting. So we can easily build it on the top instead, because we have some space left in here. So this would indicate the maximum height of the area that could be mined, and we can easily have a system here in between at the height of the water stream pretty much. So the idea would be that this goes down and tries to push something forward, right here. Okay, I think we're gonna go for that solution. Just need to get a signal there. Now we have to talk about how we could actually stop the quarry. Now one idea is to shut the quarry off by default in case the quarry moves forward. So how you at the moment shut off the quarry is by activating this piston here, which this would be the manual on and off switch. Activating this piston here, which would reject the redstone block, and this in turn would lift up this system here. So this is basically just an observer attached to the slime blocks, which if lifted up would power the piston below. And then we get an output of the observer detecting this piston, which would then launch the grabbers again. Alright, and in case you want to stop the quarry, then basically just push this down, and that means the piston can't activate it anymore, since this is above the push limit. Usually we basically get a cycle at which end we would just trigger this piston. And in case you turn the quarry off, then you can't trigger the piston anymore, the quarry stops. Alright, so now we would need to activate this piston by default if the quarry moves forward. But this piston needs to be activated once the grab is already launched, so they get at least a chance to push the detection system forward. Now the idea would be just to add some delay here at the back somehow, and incredibly easy, just push an observer forward. It would trigger this piston. So we would actually, I don't want to trigger it right now. I'm gonna remove it. So basically the part at the bottom is getting pushed forwards first, and then afterwards we push this observer forward. Probably need to put something on top so a snow layer couldn't activate it in theory, and then it would trigger the off switch in the correct moment. Basically once the grabbers got launched. Alright, so in case we get a signal now, we could then, for example, activate... How do we do this? We could activate some kind of a system that pulls another observer from the other side. So basically activating the piston a second time. Just have to think about how to do this at the moment. We can probably just place another observer here and then just pull it. Alright. So in case the detection system was successful, all the grabbers are still working, we would pull this observer and would activate the on-off switch a second time. Yeah, this should work. But then we would get another signal here. Oh, I overlooked this issue. Then we would trigger this at the wrong moment and activating all kinds of other systems. I have to think about this a little bit. The issue that I'm having right now is that the on-off switch actually can't be spammed. It can only be activated once per cycle. So you need to wait at least, if you turn the quarry off, until the grabbers are back in the station at the top, and until all the items are processed with the TNT system. Because if you activate the switch again, then it would immediately launch the grabbers again and also other systems in the back. And that's actually the issue. So if you follow this path here, or the update line, then we also activate this sticky piston here, which launches another flying machine that, as far as I know, would launch another flying machine, and this will probably activate stuff in the wrong moment. To be honest, I'm not completely sure how this works all in detail anymore, but I'm quite certain that it would break the quarry if you do this. Alright, so we have to find another way to turn the quarry off that doesn't break it. I think I got another solution that would work as well without causing those issues. So the way the system works in order to keep the quarry going is to retract and extend the sticky piston here. So I think this is just a chain we somehow... it's really hard to follow. I don't understand the system at all anymore. But we somehow retract and extend the redstone block here next to it. And this would in turn give a signal to the piston here. Now what we could do is attach an extra block to this slime block structure here in order to exceed the push limit. And then you can't retract and extend this anymore. So this would work like this. Some delay here, we push this system forward. That pushes a block over and extends it, attaches it to these slime blocks. So like this. Now this can't trigger anymore unless we remove the glass block again. And this would be directly hooked up to the detection system. So we could move a sticky piston back, which would then grab the stuff again. And oh, this piston is not attached to the slime blocks. It was supposed to be activated as well. Maybe let's try this again. So we have to rebuild it somehow and attach the piston, obviously. Yeah, I think it would work like this. If you just attach the observer here. And if you pull this now, the glass block would be removed and also pushed back for the next cycle. Alright, then you have to imagine the whole quarry moves forwards again. The slime block would be in that position again. And then we auto shut it off and turn it back on without interfering at all. This also has to be timed because this system can't be blocked while moving forwards, obviously, and also needs to trigger the first time in order to launch the grabbers. So this needs to be perfectly timed, and yeah, this shouldn't be a big problem. Alright, I would say we now move the quarry forwards for half an hour until we, or actually it's 15 minutes, not half an hour, until we reach the bottom there, and then we can test if the system works and we can try to come up with the appropriate amount of delay for especially the pushing part here. I've got the quarry to a state where it does move forward once we go through another cycle of sending grabbers down and back up again and do the item processing. Now it's just a matter of getting the timings right for this part here. And also I think we need to attach another block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now we're at the push limit. Perfect. I think the first try we're just gonna see how much delay we need additionally. I don't think we're gonna get it right the first time. Thinking about just adding another observer and piston to this structure here. That is definitely not above the push limit. And then we can maybe do this a bit. Push it forward directly here. Yeah, we'll see how much additional delay we need. Alright, let's try this out. We can tick up again. It's really the advantage of the small quarry. We need about 3,500 ticks. Okay, now it comes up. Alright, now just need to go through the TNT system once more. 22 explosions. Let's check. We don't have to tick up that moment here. Okay. TNT system is still running, but I think any moment the quarry will move forward. I think the last thing we need to do... Yeah, now the quarry moves forward. Okay. Let's see. Wait, this is exactly the right timing, it seems. Right. The grabbers got launched again, but now it shouldn't happen the next time. I think it was perfect. First try. It never happens usually. So let's see, tick up this, and the quarry should come to an halt, since this can't be retracted anymore. Okay. Still going. Okay, seems like that's... Yeah, okay, this is perfectly fine. This is just part of the quarry. Does it stop? Okay, seems like it. Okay, so this couldn't push forward anymore. But obviously it wouldn't have happened if you would have pulled this. Alright, this was basically the failsafe. Now we could easily start the quarry by activating this twice, I guess. Yep. Now we can start it back up. Okay, so it seems like this is a working solution, and we can almost build it up in survival now. Not sure if we should actually test the part here with the grabbers, if they push something forward, since this is quite trivial. But it's probably better if I do it in creative first. Now that I think about it, it's definitely a better choice to test this in creative first. So I built up the complete rest of the system. So here we got some detection slices. So in case this all gets pushed forward, this piston here would activate this observer, activating the sticky piston, pulling all of that stuff, including the glass block. Alright, just here we need to just make sure that we also move this part forward. We do this by pushing the observer first and then the sticky piston later, so we don't create a flying machine. So the sticky piston shouldn't trigger when it gets moved forward. Alright, so now it's just time to wait until we actually move forward. So maybe let's add a bit of tick warp. Getting real close here. Okay, this system goes up, and then we push forward. Maybe another 100 ticks. Again. There we go. Alright, now the grabbers go down. Push this part forward, trigger the system. Block got pulled away again, and it's no longer blocking the part of the chain that turns the quarry back on. Alright, seems like that's working perfect. So obviously, in case we wouldn't have triggered this observer, then the glass block would still be in place here, and the quarry can't launch the grabbers again. It would just come to a halt. Alright, now we're actually at the point where we can build this up in survival. And we're back in the survival world. Got some items incoming here. Really nice. The crash detection system has been built up, so the strip here. So far the quarry already moved 5 blocks forward since we implemented it, but obviously it's still working, the quarry. We have to wait until it potentially crashes to see if it's actually working, but I have no doubt it does. Alright, so this will hopefully this is gonna save us some hours, and maybe we can also find out a new reason why the quarry crashed. As I said at the beginning of the video, quarry crashed and we didn't really know what happened, since partially kept moving forward. Maybe we removed the water source later that caused those issues. So I hope we can now find out what caused the last crash. Alright, then we also still need to work on the storage system. It's still in the back here, but I'm very undecided what to do about the storage. So at the moment I just store everything here in this wall of chests. We kind of had a plan to have a quarry central storage where we would filter out everything while the quarry is still running. But there's actually another option. We could also wait until Pella builds his main storage and actually use that in order to sort the boxes afterwards. So I'm a bit undecided at the moment what to do about the storage. Can't really tell what's next. Alright, but at least the quarry is working now. There's still quite a way to go. We have about 250 blocks, 3,220 blocks are still remaining. So hopefully this will be done in about 2 or 3 months. Alright, that's it for this episode. Next episode is episode 100. I plan to continue the server tour that I started in episode 50. So if you remember, I showed the progress of the SciCraft server, starting 1.8, 1.9, 1.10. I think I also showed 1.11, but there's still stuff left to show, which would be all the progress we did in 1.12. So it will probably be a 1-hour video showing all the recent progress we made on the world in the last year or so. Alright, thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.